Hello and welcome back to Out of Spec Reviews, and welcome to probably the most requested Hogback ADAS driver's assistance test that we've ever done. This is my new Model 3 Highland. It is just the rear-wheel drive long range base model. Andreas, of course, has the all-wheel drive long range. So we have sister cars basically, and we are testing now the new version of FSD, which is, what is the number? 13.2.2.1. Four numbers you gotta remember. And we have the latest software as of today, which is January 12th, 2025. So FSD has had a lot of updates and a lot of history. We're gonna jump into everything in this video.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but I want to say a huge thank you to Wolfbox for sponsoring this video. This is their compressed air duster. It's battery powered and it has 3 settings of high pressure air that shoots out to help with all of your cleaning needs. I love that there's 3 settings so I can have a more efficient or more powerful clean, and it's super compact and fits in any space. It's perfect for cleaning up dust inside of the car or even home electronics, or pushing leaves out of the way. Anything you could use compressed air for, you can have it right here in a handheld package. On its most powerful setting, this thing can reach about 150,000 RPM on the turbofan. It also only weighs 0.66 pounds, which means this portable duster is easy to bring anywhere you want. It's also equipped with 5 nozzles and 2 brushes, and also a carrying case. So it's perfect for cleaning in your house, your car, or just bringing along for outdoor activities. So a huge shout out to Wolfbox for sponsoring this video. If you guys want to pick one of these up, the link will be in the description below.
Welcome to Command Central. Really quick, guys, I wanted to note this is the last Hogback going on Out of Spec Reviews. We have a new channel, Out of Spec Testing, where we are going to have all of our ADAS driving assistance tests, highway range tests, 10% challenges, all of that fun stuff. There's so many cars that now need to go through the tests. You'll see me over there. Andreas may make an appearance or 2 or 3 or 4. Kyle, Ryan, the whole team commits and helps out with that channel. So this is a huge Hogback challenge. Wanted to keep it on Out of Spec Reviews for you guys, but go check out the other channel, Out of Spec Testing. And I'm really curious what you guys think of this video. It's hotly desired, but also hotly contested, I'm sure. So leave all your spicy comments down below throughout this test. We'll see you in the comments.
So a lot to get into. We'll get into the scoring, we'll get into the test itself, but basically we start here in the Woolly Mammoth lot, which is right by Golden, Colorado. It is really beautiful around here, especially with some fresh dusting of snow. The roads are clear, don't worry about that. And there may be a little bit of ski traffic. That's why we're gonna try to get on the test as soon as possible. But this will basically be a pretty challenging section. In fact, the most challenging section of highway in the country, at least interstate highway, which we do for a reason. Some cars are limited to pre-mapped highways and for their lane centering to work. Fortunately, FSD is not limited to like anything. You can even do it on a country road at times. So we're going to head up to almost Idaho Springs. It's about 30 miles round trip. I think it was like 45 corners, 2,800 feet of elevation gain and descent. It's a challenging section of highway. So let's see how it does. What do you think, Andreas? I mean, this is the first test. We can start here and just hit go.
That's
and
right.
then not do anything.
Yeah, I'm excited, especially since the highway stack has been updated to end-to-end network, and yeah, I've been waiting for this for a long time. So very excited.
Yeah, so this is the first time we've also tested FSD out of beta. It's supervised FSD now. And this is also the first time we've tested a hardware 4 car with FSD. So hardware 4, I mean, it's really the same camera set that we've seen before. No radar at all. Tesla is vision only at this point. 7 cameras around the exterior, 2 up here that are forward facing. So maybe the new Model Y Juniper has 8 cameras because it has the one in the front.
That's right.
We'll see. 2 on each side and then 1 in the rear. Basic hardware, not a lot to get into. No radar or close sensors or anything like that. So it's really cold.
Very cold.
Let's go jump in and test this thing.
So jumping into scoring, we have our score sheet here, and I've already pre-selected exactly what this car has because we're going to breeze through it because we're trying to beat traffic once again. But no capacitive wheel, so no points for that. That would be cool. Driver safety eye tracking, that is a thing. Hands-free eye tracking, also a thing. It is not limited to pre-mapped highways, so no deduction there. Gauge cluster shows cars around. It shows all the cars around. Way better than a lot of other cars. Lane centering is not only limited to pre-mapped as well.
Automatic functions, it does adapt to the speed limits, so you can adjust that in the settings in autopilot. So yeah, if it didn't adapt to the speed limits, or if it didn't have an offset against the speed limits, we'd deduct those back because it's like useless. There is adaptive system aggressiveness, and that is also separate from the driving mode or the acceleration mode in this case. Automatic lane changing is a thing. It does it without user input, and it does return to the right lane. Then we get to our driver unresponsive test, which we will cut to now. Yep. Okay, now time for the unresponsive driver test. So what if I, as the driver, suddenly became unresponsive due to a medical emergency or something? And I can simulate that. The challenge is this has eye tracking, which is great, so it's hands-free, but I have to shield my eyes somehow. So I can dim my hat, shop.outofspecstudios.com, and we'll see if it detects that I am not indeed looking. Yep, now the screen says attention monitoring unavailable, apply slight turning force to steering wheel. Just not going to do that. It's now blinking. I'm still going to hide my eyes from the camera, but I can still see the road in front of me, so we are still safe and sound. It's blinking faster. Now it's beeping once. And
this guy also pulled over. Must be
beeping twice. Beeping 3 times. Auto steer unavailable for the rest of the drive. Hold steering wheel to drive manually. 20 miles an hour, the flashers turn on. And we come to a stop.
In the middle of the road.
And it just sits here.
Yep.
So,
safe.
That's pretty normal, but no unlocking, no interior lights, and now we have no auto steer for the rest of the drive. If I try to enable it, it'll say unavailable, autopilot strikeout, attention warnings ignored. So it will then turn around, and I'll show you how to get out of this as well, but that's pretty good, I guess. Early on with FSD, people were like, oh, it's gonna pull over the shoulder, but it doesn't do that. But here's how you can, I think you can tap that, autopilot strikeout. So I've hit one of my 5 strikeouts, but it will be forgiven next week apparently, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So charging, open charge port. That should be a drive cycle essentially. And now we should be able to turn around and hit the road once again. That was not bad. We'll go back and score that, but yeah, it does what most cars do, I think. It does not pull over the shoulder, which would have been extra credit, but it also doesn't just let go of the steering without warning and send you to the barrier, which Kia cars do and Hyundai and Genesis.
I think it will be capable of pulling over because it can respond to emergency vehicles now, right? Like we've seen a few clips, so they could use that functionality for this as well.
Yes, I'm surprised they don't, but maybe that'll be an upcoming update. Maybe Tesla will see this video and be like, oh yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
As we're driving it on with negative 462 watt-hours per mile.
Amazing efficiency. So that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess pretty normal. Like, it just didn't do anything special. Didn't have any FSD magic in there. It just
sadly
did its thing. Yeah. So looking at the stats, the scoring for that, it did not yank seatbelts. There are no seatbelt motors in this, so that's fine. Pulsing brakes, so it doesn't do that, which some other cars do. That would be nice. There's no seat motors, so that's not a thing with this car. There is no exterior horn honking, which we see some cars do, but it does do the hazard lights. It does do a complete stop. It does not call emergency vehicles. It does not unlock the doors, and it does not turn the interior lights on. That's something I kind of have issue with, because if you are an unresponsive driver, I mean, you'd want emergency services to get to you and then get into the car.
That's right.
So, I mean, they can break the window and get you, but like, it'd be easier if it was just unlocked.
Yeah. They should have it.
But once the car automatically goes into park, I don't know if there's like a time limit to where it eventually unlocks itself. I'm not really sure, or if it would go into full park. I don't know. But in this situation, how we test all the cars, it did not do that. Then the steering does not let go without warning, which is good because some cars do that, which is terrifying. Korean cars especially. Pull over to the shoulder does not do that. It has all the capability, so maybe someday. Now we get to the drive. I do have a couple in editor's input notes which you can add here. Based on other cars, we've also added our own things. So this is where we add notes throughout the drive, but also before the drive. So this car does speed up on turn signal overtake. I'm giving that a point because we give it to every car that does that.
Kyle got Kyle's choice for the BMW system, and this is my choice. We could say Jordan/Andreas's choice. We won't give it 2 points. That'd be unfair. But improved sensitivity on steering torque. I used to complain a lot about earlier Teslas, well, the one you had especially, where the torque required to tell the car you're still there was really annoying.
Yeah.
It was like too much torque, almost felt dangerous.
Yeah.
Now it only takes a light amount of torque if the camera system is not working. So I did grant it a point for that. I also gave Lucid the same point because it's really nice to see that nicely calibrated. And then end to end is a huge deal. I'm only giving it 1 point. I feel like it should deserve more, but I'll give everything else the best benefit of the doubt because I can just start here, which we will do. We're going into the mountains, and I think it is, let's see, past Floyd Hill. It should be this exit right here. So I will set a little marker. Bing. Navigate there. Boom. So what I have to do once I get my seatbelt on and everything is just hit go, which we will film. So that's the first car ever where we can actually start it in this parking lot.
Amazing. We're living in the future.
It's the future. Everyone's gonna think we're Tesla shills, but it's just like, this is the best system, objectively. Well, I guess we'll find out if it's objectively. We'll see how many points get deducted in this drive, but I'm feeling confident. We're starting out with 36 points.
Yep.
Before we jump in the drive, let's go into the settings for autopilot. So I have FSD supervised selected right there. Start it from park. I have the brake confirm turned off, which people point out in my road trip I did not. And then there's the profiles. So we're gonna go in standard. You can do hurry, you can do chill. I think standard is a really good representative method. You can adjust the speed limit offset to what you're comfortable with, I guess. Explain this offset.
Yeah, so max speed offset doesn't necessarily mean it will go 35% over the speed limit, because that would be crazy. Like at 65 miles per hour, that would be like, you know,
amazing. 80
yeah,
something.
80 something, yeah. So it will only do it if, like what's written here basically, if it matches the flow of traffic, it would go up to 35% over the speed limit.
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily mean it will go that fast.
Right, so this is going to be very traffic aware. Expanded full self-driving visualization, so we can really see everything going on the screen. Actually smart summon or ASS, that is turned on, not that it matters for this. Speed limit warnings, speed limits, the offset can be adjusted there, which is nice, and you can do relative or absolute. That's pretty cool. Forward collision warning, got all this stuff turned on as well. Obstacle aware acceleration, green traffic light chime, best thing ever. All right, so we will just, I guess, tap to activate drive in a second, but this is our crew. We have Andreas in the passenger seat running the computer, and we have the first dog test on FSD. We'll get Era's opinion shortly, and we have Jess, say hi, who joined me on my first FSD road trip. Now, I should just be able to press and hold.
I love that feature. It makes it feel so much more futuristic.
Amazing. So now we go truly hands-free and see how it does. And we'll comment on everything throughout the drive, plus hit you with any facts and figures, stuff we learn about FSD. We'll see if it goes through these people.
Yeah, very cautious around people, which is fine. Still very slow in parking lots, but that's supposed to be improved with the next update.
Yeah, so maybe the first thing you can kind of go through is the release notes of the newest update.
Yep.
Which is, I guess you could do it on your phone too.
Yeah, well, let's put it up here.
There, so, yep. So, release notes, where is it? There we go, got the turn signal on. This is great.
Yep.
So, this is everything that's come recently with 13.2.2.1. And it didn't catch that. I guess technically it was like almost like too far over when it got to that section, but
I think in the last video it totally ignored that stop sign, right? I remember that.
oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah. Release notes as we are driving along here in beautiful sunny Colorado on a Sunday morning. So with this version, it's the first time Tesla introduced or used the AI4 video inputs. Before that, they would only use video inputs from Hardware 3 cars, which now they have high resolution video footage, which supposedly should improve the overall the behavior of FSD. I'm not going to go
Yeah, there's a lot of
each point
just
because some
crazy stuff, but
it's very technical. 4.2 times data scaling basically can be derived from the higher resolution video inputs because it's higher resolution, so 4 times more pixels, which means 4 times more data scaling. Yeah, reduced photon to control latency, which sounds super fancy. It basically means, it picks up that this Audi is braking, the photons come in, and it can react twice as fast to whatever it perceives.
yeah.
I wouldn't say I've noticed a big difference when it comes to like reacting to photon inputs, but
I don't think a lot of these are going to be super noticeable.
Yeah.
But it is just gradual
Exactly, yeah.
refinements. Then they have the upcoming improvements section, which is annoying because I have missed that word before. Notably in our road trip where we went through to the Midwest thinking it would park itself every time because that was an upcoming improvement, not a current improvement.
Yeah.
But what's strange is it did half the time. So it's not like it's not a feature, it's just not a guaranteed feature at the moment. I guess.
Yeah.
But we are starting the test now. So all that back there was just bonus, I guess. And I will be keeping an eye on the lane. So this will be really interesting, Andreas, because FSD is trained on, it's the neural network end-to-end trained on human drivers.
that's correct.
So it could, in theory, I'm wondering if it will cross lanes every so often.
And
Very gradually, because in that particular section, maybe a human driver does. Maybe because it makes sense with how the road is laid out. I'm not really sure. But this will be very interesting.
see if you can respond to the semi indicating. Oh, that was already bad.
Yeah.
Like I would have let him in.
Yeah. That was scary. It did hug the far edge of the lane.
Yeah.
Which is
it
good.
didn't do on the road trip.
Yeah, on our road
Yeah.
trips, every time I passed the semi, it was like, not every time, a lot of times. It's not consistent. It would like sometimes hug the semi, which is terrifying.
Yeah. So also on the on-ramp, it didn't signal during the lane merge.
Yep.
I guess we're not deducting points for that. Are we that picky or not?
I guess not.
Okay. But it did cross the solid line just down there before we passed the semi.
Yeah.
Which is illegal.
Yeah. I don't know. Everything back there was like slightly, but it's hard. A lot of people do cross the solid lanes.
Oh yeah. Again, it's human trained.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. So, and in any sort of safety situation, you would it's not illegal to cross the solid lines. You just don't want to necessarily.
Oh, it's not illegal.
What?
It's not illegal.
No, it's not illegal. Crossing double solid line would be illegal.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So you can do it as long as it's safe, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Oh.
like a more cautionary, not advised. Similar to how when you get to an intersection, some of the lines become solid.
Yeah.
And that's like, okay, you're not really supposed to, but it's not blatantly illegal.
Oh,
either.
no.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Unless I'm wrong, which I'm curious. But
Yeah, no, I
No,
think
the
you're
white solid is,
but as far as I know, that's totally fine.
okay. So this guy must be in chill mode. Because
Yeah, we got.
or annoyance
It's
mode.
usually, so a Nissan Sentra is what you get stuck behind. A Nissan Altima is what gets stuck behind you, as they're trying to go, speed limit 9,000. So he got over and we got over, so it's just a multiple.
So nice pass here. Now it should go back over into the middle lane. So we're in standard mode, right?
Yeah, so standard mode should hog the left lane less. Hurry mode does seem to hog the left lane a decent amount. It will still get back over, but it just kind of depends on circumstances. But that's still a complaint I have with hurry mode. It does seem to hog too much of the left lane.
Yeah.
Even when no one's around, which I get it. That's not harming anyone, but in a lot of states, that's actually illegal.
Right. Yeah, it got slightly improved with 13.2 to 2.1, because before that it would not get out of the left lane and hurry at all.
Yeah.
They improved it slightly that it moves back over, but still it should move over way sooner, even in hurry.
Yep.
But yeah, these are the small things. They will improve, and every driver has some criticism. So
Yeah.
but yeah, just sharing our thoughts.
So we've tested autopilot multiple times on this route as well. Autopilot is, of course, a standard feature in all Teslas. It is lane centering with adaptive cruise control. That's the benchmark, in my opinion. Like, a lot of cars
don't include lane centering as standard, which is crazy to me. So autopilot does quite well, but it doesn't have the automatic lane changes. They did have enhanced autopilot for a while. They don't still do that, right?
Yeah. With enhanced, I think so. Yeah. I think they introduced this sometime last year.
Because Tesla's gone through various iterations of the driving assistance offerings. Full self-driving was first offered in, I think, late 2020.
Yeah, October 2020. Yeah.
So it's over 4 years now of FSD, but early on it was beta. It was interesting, it was fascinating,
Cybertruck.
but it was rough. Nice.
Is that a white wrap or is it just a sun?
That might be a white wrap.
I think that's white, yeah.
This is my favorite view right now.
Yeah, best view.
Amazing, crossing over the Genesee Park Bridge. And so, yeah, it's interesting. This test, we typically try to stay in the right lane, but with cars that do it fully automatically, we just let it do its thing.
Yeah, I think only chill mode would go into the right-hand lane.
Yeah.
Sometimes standard, I noticed, also moves back in the right-hand lane, but very rarely.
Yeah.
And I do want to give it credit because when it was hugging the left lane behind the truck, I think it did see that there were other cars going slower than the truck and the Tesla were going, and so it knew it would pass it. And it did get over immediately after we passed those cars, so.
Yeah, there was someone to the left of us, but like Andrea said, it could have, I guess, basically slammed on the brakes, which I would have expected it to. I feel like in some circumstances,
Yeah, so I had
it's done that.
I had a moment, a scenario yesterday actually. I was driving into Denver and there was a red light and then the cars pulled away, but mine didn't. I was like, why are you not, keeping up? Turns out a car was next to me with the turn signal on. They wanted to merge. So the car actually let the person merge in front of me, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Got the Cybertruck rushing up on the back. I think it's partially wrapped.
Nice.
That's really interesting. See if it catches up to us, or maybe it's just going to follow us.
Yeah.
And Cyber Beast handle.
We'll ask him for his B-roll from behind us.
Is he exiting here?
I don't know. But yeah, that's literally a half wrapped. It's like white on the bottom and then black on the top.
Is he staying there?
Oh, it's got huge Cyber Beast text.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wow. I don't know if I'm a big fan of that wrap in particular.
I think the white looks even more futuristic than the silver.
I like the white, the whole truck white, but I don't like that half and half situation.
Yeah, I usually put half and half in my coffee, but not on my Cybertruck. So.
Right. There you go. So, anyways, back to FSD history. Well, really going even further back than that, autopilot was introduced, 2014?
14, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and 2015 is really when it started to roll out, and that was earlier cars with hardware 2, maybe? Something like that. The history of it's fuzzy to me, but autopilot, Tesla has been doing lane centering effectively for about 10 years. And it wasn't always amazing, but it got amazing pretty quickly. And that was, I think, initially a cost upgrade, but then at some point autopilot became free. At some point they then introduced enhanced autopilot, which cost more money, or full self-driving, which was a lot more money. In fact, full self-driving peaked about, 2 years ago, when it was $15,000.
50 grand, yeah.
$15,000, and then at some point they introduced $200 a month as the subscription model.
Correct.
Then it dropped to like 12, it dropped to 10 maybe?
Yeah, I think 13 or 12, then 10, and then to 8, right?
Now it's currently, as of this recording, $8,000 to buy full self-driving, or you can subscribe for only $100 a month. That was big news when it dropped the subscription price in half to $100, $99 a month. That's when I think it really became intriguing, because FSD has gradually gotten better and better. So it's wild to me that people paid 15 grand at some point.
Yep.
And didn't really have that impressive of a system at the time.
Yeah, it's so much money.
Yeah. And you own it on yours.
On mine, yeah. I bought it, I think, 3 years ago.
What was the price at that time?
It was 8. So I bought it in Canada, actually. I was living in Canada at the time.
Okay.
And I think it was 8,000 US.
Yep.
Yeah. And then luckily I was able to transfer it when I did my upgrade to the Highland Model 3.
Nice.
Which was a big selling point. There's no way I would have paid for FSD again, and I hate subscriptions. So yeah, that was just perfect.
Yep. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've sometimes had the transfer, they sometimes don't. It is weird how it's just like Tesla just decides what to do whenever.
Yeah.
There's like almost no rhyme or reason. It's frustrating. I, had the initial free trial for 1 month of FSD and premium connectivity. It was great to test them out. And then I was like, okay, now I'll see if I can live without them. That didn't last long. I got premium connectivity back after maybe 2 weeks. But then FSD, I was just like frustrated because thanks to you guys, I did get some referral points, which I was considering trying to spend on FSD because at the time you could only use referral points on FSD purchase. You couldn't use them on any subscriptions, which really frustrated me because the referral point literally means I'm basically selling cars for Tesla, and instead of rewarding you for that to do anything with that money, they're just like really limiting what you can do with that.
Yep.
And they expire, which is crazy. So I might have eventually forked over for FSD, but right as I was about to make a video complaining about it, they opened it up and let you spend referral points on FSD. And that was the day before me and Jess went to Kansas City to do our first FSD road trip.
Thank God we had it for that.
And that was a great road trip. I mean, we had no interventions other than parking lots to get it parked because it wouldn't always do that. And then we had one that was just outside the parking lot because it seemed like it was about to pull out in front of a truck, which is crazy. The truck was, though, getting over, I think, reacting to us. And I'm sure the car would have stopped, but I just had to intervene for safety, which is the same thing I'll do today. Like, I'm sure this car could technically do this without any intervention, but I'm ready to just in case. And I really don't, like, if it gets bad, I'm going to take over because I don't want to put anyone else at risk either and make them make a rash decision based on something this car is doing.
Correct.
So I always want to point out, the Lucid notably recently did really rough in this test. And I was perhaps too kind to it, based on all of the hateful comments. But I don't know, that was hard because the way the cameras portray it is one thing. I was fully in control the whole time. I was never going to let it hit a barrier or whatever. But I think some people thought I was going to. Nice GR Corolla right there. And then I was with our friend who, that was her first time ever testing it.
Yep.
And her Aria doesn't have much of anything. So I don't know, she reacted a lot, and so I don't know. That video is kind of wild, but did show how far behind Lucid is. I hope they improve quite a bit.
Quick comment on the speed limit. So it's been 45 for a while now, and we're still going 68, even though we set the max offset to 35%, which would be 60.75 miles per hour.
That's what I don't understand. We noticed that another time your car was driving us.
Correct, yeah.
It's like the speed limit offset, I think, is just complete bogus. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like it shouldn't go faster than 61 miles per hour right now.
Yeah,
and it even picked up the speed limit sign, which is...
Yeah. So it's really prioritizing traffic flow.
Yeah.
Because even though we were doing like 50% over the speed limit.
Yeah.
Still getting passed by GR Corolla. All right, so here comes the most challenging section. We are close to the line. And here's where it takes an exit. Well, some cars take an exit. This one did not. That was really, really good. Yeah. It did get a little close to the line over there.
Yeah, and it braked a little too harsh to my...
Yeah.
Like if somebody was behind me,
yeah,
I would have felt awkward.
Yeah. So this is the, coming up within 1.5 miles of our turnaround. This is always the hardest part. Lots of cars fail right here. The system gives up, tells you to take over. There's like a limitation of how much torque they can put on the wheel. Looking forward to trying Comma AI at some point. We saw them at CES, and they have a system that can be added to your existing car and do all this driving for you. Well, the steering and some of the controls. Over 300 cars, I think. So I'm really excited to try that at some point if we can get one ordered. But close to the line over here too. It is kind of hugging the outside of some of these turns, which technically is most comfortable as a passenger.
Yeah.
But honestly, there's no one around us. it could have adjusted speed to just keep it centered nicely.
Yeah, I feel like it used to be much more centered, right? I think with V13 it kind of started
Yeah,
moving within the lane.
yeah. But
going down those curves back there, it was not as smooth as I think
yeah,
I would want to give it credit for.
yep,
But also, I know people fly down that hill, so it could just be
Yep.
going based off of how everyone else is driving.
yeah. So my preference would have been that it would slow down a bit there and just take it easy. But it was, I guess, keeping in mind the recent traffic, although we were going down those hills without any existing traffic at the moment. So now I can add a stop back to Woolly Mammoth, clear this out, done, go.
So far, no points deducted.
Yep. Oh, it's funny. It was going right and it was like, actually, never mind, let's go left.
Yeah.
So yeah, no points deducted. I mean, I think what I will do is in the editor's input, I don't know how to quantify the things that happen at the very, very beginning, but I feel like we should dock a point for that.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't know what we would call that. Maybe just like not as safe as it could have been.
Are you talking about the truck?
Yeah, the semi-truck, that was a bit terrifying. I think it should have slowed down. It was good in not trying to move over because someone was blocking us on the left side. So I think it did well, but it didn't do as well as it could have or should have, or as well as I expected based on other previous times that I've tested this car.
Even now at this merge, the car had to change lanes behind us because we didn't speed up
Yeah,
properly, which is my main complaint. You gotta match the speed of the cars when merging on a highway.
yeah,
Main complaint. I know most people don't do that,
yeah,
which drives me crazy.
yep.
So yeah,
And I
I
think-
just annoyed this person basically.
Yeah, yeah. So that's something, you know, at the moment, this test is strictly the highway section. So we don't count
Okay.
the merging because we don't even test, like other cars, the system's not even on until after you're on the highway.
I see. Okay.
So, but you know, as cars get more and more advanced and maybe give you that end-to-end driving, self-driving option, that would be something to add, I think, is the characteristics
Oh, for
on
sure.
slow roads. But even then, that would be probably its own separate test.
Yep.
You know, we have to, once another car can do what this car can do, then we have to create a second test that is a mix of like city streets, highway, like a whole full FSD stress test, which
Yep.
maybe we should come up with anyways for this car.
Oh yeah,
That's something to consider.
I'm down.
And I guess if you guys want to see that, let us know what criteria you really want us to put this through. So this is another challenging section for a lot of cars, partially because it's rough road. The lane markings are not super clear because there used to be old lane markings, now there's new ones. But it's been doing totally fine so far. So yeah, we've had technically no interventions.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy.
And yeah, you can see we've got some sun glare. In fact, sometimes this road is closed just before this time of day because of the sun glare.
Yeah, I didn't know they did that. That's pretty.
Yeah, in
That's
fact,
pretty cool actually.
we wanted to test this last week, but we couldn't because the sun glare did create a closure, and that closure lasted like a full hour. And then by the time the closure was done, ski traffic had picked up. So it's just it is hard to. Yeah, definitely apologize. You guys have been asking for this video for a while now, but we are at the mercy of winter in Colorado, which means sometimes snow, sometimes ski traffic, sometimes construction. It's
So-
crazy.
Yeah, those guys didn't clean the windshield, so they cannot see it all right
Oh
now. So
my
they put it on their
gosh.
head. That's
I was
safety.
wondering why he had his head out the window.
Yeah.
I've been there. So one of my earlier road trips to Colorado, I was in a Prius, purchased in Texas, brought that up here. I guess no one had thought in Texas put like the antifreeze stuff in the wiper fluid.
Yep.
So after one overnight, that completely froze.
Oh my god.
And then it was like a wet, snowy covered road situation. And I was in that same situation where
Oh, damn.
I had no way to see out the front.
Yeah. You've all been there.
So I would like spray a water bottle in the windshield and use the wipers every so often. It was rough.
Yeah. Yeah, so far, pretty good.
I know, we had to come up with things to talk about because we knew this would be boring.
Yeah. Yeah. What do
right.
you guys think of the new Model Y? Just kidding.
right, yeah. I mean, me and Kyle did a video reacting to it, but I wanted to get Andreas's thoughts and then Jess's thoughts on the new Model Y Juniper.
Jess, go ahead.
Oh man, no, I think it looks great. I'm super excited. I think it's interesting that, and correct me if I'm wrong, in the US they have the extra row of seats, right? And overseas it's just the one passenger in the back.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
based on the outgoing Model Y, which we're kind of expecting to continue. I mean, I'm surprised they kept the third row in the US this long. So we don't know any North American spec for the new Model Y yet, but I'd be surprised if they deleted it because it is so much of still the same car.
Yeah.
But I guess what I don't know is the new rear folding seats are powered reclining, which is cool. Are those any bulkier? Like, they already barely squeezed the third row in. Will they now not be able to squeeze the third row in because of any changes to the rear fascia or the second row seating being powered now?
Yeah. Well, that's what was so interesting, is that a lot of the talk about the new features on the overseas Model Y was about the interior experience of the car. The FSD was kind of at the bottom of the site, right? Everything that was up top was about a quieter driving experience, more comfortable seating. I believe they even used language like anti-gravity or zero gravity. And so it's interesting to see them focus on that, and I don't know if that's different when they talk to the consumer base in the US. But I wonder if they did do any changes to the passenger experience just based on that language.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw it in chill really quick just to see how differently it operates.
And also right away.
Immediately, right, Blair and Jim. So we'll run and chill for a bit because this is probably more similar to how a lot of other cars we test operate. Yeah, you're right, Jess. I think they're so focused on how the new Model Y is similar to the new Model 3, which made a lot of improvements to ride quality, which is a huge term that covers the NVH, the noise, vibration, and harshness, the acoustic laminated glass, ride quality, like the suspension feel, how the dampers are set. Everything's just a bit more refined. I'm really excited to try the sound system in the new Model Y.
Oh, yeah.
Both the base and the premium sound system. So this Model 3, the one I'm in, has the base speakers, which is, how many speakers is it? 9?
9, I believe.
I think 9. And then yours has 17.
17, yeah.
The new Model Y has the base speakers with 9, and the premium has 16. Because it has one sub, not two. Yours has two subs in the rear, whatever you call that, parcel shelf type thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Behind the rear seats. That's actually one of my complaints. It is really good system, but I think we had to really dial yours in to account for some of the boominess that added.
Yeah.
Whereas having a sub in a traditional area further back, almost in like the wheel well corner, that can usually be a bit less boomy, like the Model Y that's passing us.
Nice.
Nice snowboards. So I think the new Juniper having the sub in a different location, really curious to see how that compares to the outgoing Model Y, which already had a really great sound system. So outgoing Model Y, easiest car for me to recommend to most people.
That's right.
New one, even easier. But to Kyle's point in our video on this channel, no mic drop moments. They didn't do anything. People were speculating, like, what if they brought some of the Cybertruck crazy engineering to the new Model Y? What if they did steer-by-wire or some 48-volt architecture or anything like that? What if they had ventilated rear seats? What if they had a power frunk? All these things I really was hoping for. The other stuff I didn't care as much. I didn't care about steer-by-wire. That would be cool, but not necessary with a car that size.
And is that a common feature overseas currently?
I don't know if it is. I know Kyle's been testing some of the Chinese cars, and they have some that even do like crowd walk with rear wheel steer and stuff. But on one hand, not doing all those things makes this car more simple. They already had a good, well, the best-selling car. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing.
Yeah.
But getting close to the shoulder over there, but not crossing it. So, but I don't know. They didn't do anything mind-blowing. The rear ventilated seats, I'm just always on that train. Like, blow people's minds, throw in rear ventilated seats. Everyone loves them. But alas, they didn't do that.
Yeah, nothing blew me away really. I'm not even a big fan of the front, like the light bar. I don't know. I gotta see it in person, but
Yeah, same. I don't love the light bar. I saw some renderings of the new Model Y after unveiling with the light bar removed.
Yes.
And loved it better.
looks much better. Yeah, I saw that too.
So I like the rear light bar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that looks great.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm curious to see it in person. A lot of cars have not impressed me with digital renderings, and then seeing it in person blows my mind.
Yeah.
Maybe not blows my mind, but I prefer it to the the in person.
I wish they had included the, shout out to Michael, the Tesla logo underneath the light bar, just like the Porsche.
Yeah.
I think they would look better.
That's the thing. The below the light bar section of the new Model Y trunk looks like a huge blank billboard.
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, even the license plate will be the bottom, right? So it might look, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it'll look kind of weird. But again, I've said it so many times that I did like this or that, and I saw it in person and it blew me away.
Yep.
So let's just wait and see.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this is going well.
It's almost boring.
Yeah, it's sitting right at the speed limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, chill mode definitely. I think a lot of people would do this stretch of road in chill mode if they're enthusiasts. Honestly, a lot of people just probably set it and forget it. Standard, leave it.
Right.
Well, so that's what I was thinking when we were going down that winding portion of the road earlier, right? We were in standard mode, and if we were driving in hurry, I would be worried about how that would feel if it was driving even more aggressively.
Yeah. Yeah, I think some future test or even on a road trip, because I go through this area so often, I will definitely try hurry mode and see how that feels. It's exciting that FSD is, I mean, end-to-end. We had end-to-end initially. I mean, explain the rollout last year with this whole end-to-end thing and why that was such a huge deal.
Yeah, so when they introduced end-to-end the first time, it was only on city streets at first. So
And that was what, April last year, something like that?
when did that come out? Let's see, I think mid 2020. Let's see.
Yeah, I think it was early to mid, because I was out in California with our Cybertruck.
Mhm.
Motor Trend had their long-term Model Y, and that had just got that update, I think.
Okay.
So I first tested it on a hardware 4 Model Y, and in the city it was amazing, and on the highway it was the old stack, which was not
Right.
end-to-end trained.
Yeah, I think version 12, right, was the first end-to-end release. Yeah, and this definitely, like, it was a major improvement. Some things I miss actually about V12 is it was much more aggressive in city streets driving. Like even now in hurry mode, I don't see a difference when it comes to, you know, you turn into a new street, it just takes forever to get up
Yeah,
to speed.
I'm gonna throw it in hurry now, by the way.
Okay.
We'll just kind of do it. Well, immediately, let's get around this Pacifica.
Yeah. Yeah, but with V13 they finally introduced the end-to-end neural network on the highway, which is good, but I have
See right there,
lanes too.
it should have hugged the left of the lane
Right.
Yeah.
as passing someone.
Yep.
And just also noting the speed limit too, right? It went from 65 immediately up to like 80, 81,
Yeah.
which where we're at now, which is a huge difference
And it didn't-
between chill and hurry mode.
Yeah, and I guess I get it. The point is you're getting to your destination in a hurry. So it is trying to optimize as best as it can, but you know, I'm curious at what cost.
Yep.
But then, yeah, you're right. So the city streets was the first, and then did the highway come with V13, or was that late
Yep.
V12?
V13, yeah. That's
Okay.
the highway end-to-end network.
So that's when it was really impressive. Already the city end-to-end was impressive, but there was still, you know, getting to a stop. I mean, Jess saw me with my car when it was still version 12, late version 12, and getting to a stop at like an intersection, it just felt a bit rushed,
Yep.
Yeah.
like not smooth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's perfect, I would say.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think it specifically calls that out in the software updates as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That it has improved, what they call them, like speed profiles in cities and on highways.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now it just feels more natural than ever. I mean, that's the true litmus test now is, I love showing all sorts of random people FSD to get their raw reactions. I'm not trying to get everyone to say, wow, amazing. I'm like, I really want to see what the general public thinks of this. And it's usually met initially with distrust, and then it's met with amazement. And it's funny to also, sometimes I'll tell people, hey, that's what we're doing. Other times I'll take people out for a drive, and then halfway through the drive be like, oh, by the way, I haven't been driving. And that's when you really know that no one's noticed.
Yeah.
Because it just feels so natural at this point. So we're coming up to our exit, which is typically when we kind of wrap it all up. And yeah, 0 interventions.
Yep.
Didn't even have to turn the car around at our turnaround because it did everything. So, as I suspected, this was kind of a throwdown to this test. But again, this is not the craziest stretch of road, it's the craziest stretch of interstate highway, which we have to do it that way because so many other vehicles, Tesla competitors, even Tesla killers, as people have called them in various video titles, can't even do lane centering unless it's a pre-mapped section of highway.
Perfect stop.
Perfect stop. And even this section of highway is not perfectly pre-mapped because it's always going through construction changes and adjustments. And you know, Lucid and Rivian's done decently there, but still has issues with pre-mapping because, well, especially up by the office in Fort Collins, the out-of-spec hub and stuff, it's really rough up there. Lucid had a whole stretch where it could not even do lane centering because it just wasn't pre-mapped enough, or it wasn't re-pre-mapped. And so that's really the challenge with pre-mapped systems. So I think, Andreas, now we have to come up with a more challenging FSD test for a subsequent video to really review FSD. This was reviewing FSD in the scope of how we've tested all the other cars. Apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
This did phenomenally, but that's as we expected it to. If you look at the tab right there, the i7, I'm curious how many deductions that one had. So just a couple. So the i7 had 4 times where the system gave up, saying, I can't handle this. And then it had 1 time where Kyle had to take over because it felt dangerous. This system did not give up once, and I did not have to take over once, but we still gave it a -1 for, I guess, what do we call it? So, oh wait, that's it. Sorry, go to the Tesla one.
Oh, right now, yeah.
Yeah, so not as safe as it could have been. That's -1. Yeah. Good wording. Add another thing there for the editor's input, and I will say, how would you say this? Not nice passing. I mean, it doesn't pass with space sometimes.
Yeah.
Like when we passed the Pacifica, it hugged the Pacifica lane too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes passing semis, not in this test, but just other experiences.
Slightly unsafe passing.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't hug the right part of the lane. It's cool that it's capable of maneuvering within the lane, but it doesn't always do, I think, the correct maneuvering.
So -1 for that.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other notes, either points to award or deductions based on your perception of this test?
I think that covers it all. You know, my main criticism was in the beginning, the passing, not so done for the semi. And then the passing overall, could have been a little bit improved, but this is like high level criticism here.
Well, and maybe to point out, like with what Jess said earlier, this maybe another -1 would be the speed. It just feels like not the best. Well, I don't know. That's very profile dependent. So if you don't like the speed, you can just switch it to chill. So never mind. I think if I was in a hurry, I would want what it was doing in hurry mode.
And that's also our choice. We had the 35% offset speed in the hurry. So.
But it wasn't like listening to the offset.
Yeah, that's still a criticism from.
I think I would still give -1 with just for that speed offsets being questionable.
Yeah.
That's how I would word that, because it broke what we thought we were setting as a rule with the speed offset, and then it just didn't always do what I thought would the logical speed in certain scenarios.
Yeah.
No interventions whatsoever. That's the first time that's ever happened. The BMW had even more points awarded up front because of how it handled the driver unresponsive stuff. And that was the original King, but it still had interventions with how it was driving. So that's it. Any more final thoughts, guys?
I mean, in the end, it just comes down to if a car has fart mode or not. Like, I don't care about this, fart mode. I'm kidding. Nothing from my end. Just the speed, the passing, and hanging out in the left lane, which it didn't really do on this drive.
Yeah, it felt the lane was like directly, and it's funny because we had 3 lanes the whole time and like 3 drive modes, and it would which lane it was in was like directly determined by which drive mode, right?
Yeah,
which is funny. Any final thoughts, Era? She's just chilling. Jess?
no, I think it's good. I think for better or worse, it feels exactly like how it's felt when my friends drive me on I-70. And that comes with the unsafe passing, and that comes with going a little too fast on some of the turns, but that's how people drive. And so if you're looking for a system that feels very intuitive and feels very realistic, like, that's what this felt like.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to add one more point because I want to point out just how natural and human-like. We've deducted points for other systems being like drunk driving and like just not correctly human. And so I actually want to add a point to this one for being really impressively human. Like,
Really
human-like.
impressively human.
So 34 is the score to beat. We'll see if anyone else can do that. We'll of course be testing FSD as it improves. If any notable huge highway things come out, we should run it through this again, but there's not much we can really do because all those would do would be changing the initial points. So we'll get the score adjusted. It'll be in the link in the description below once we have that all sorted, and you can compare this to all the other cars we've tested. Until then, thanks for watching. Sorry this took so long, but we finally had the right weather and traffic conditions to test it, and I'm impressed. But also, it did as I expected. Really stinking well.
Amazing.
And as always, like, subscribe, comment, follow.
And activate fart mode.